So, what the heck do you do if you don't want a Golf R, but you have to have a mighty fast all-wheel drive turbocharged hot hatch? Well, Mercedes has the AMG A35 here in North America, and it has launch control. Enough said? Enough said. Good old AMG crackles are back on roads untraveled. This is the 2021 Mercedes-Benz A35 AMG. It is not quite a real AMG, and you know how you know this? When you pop the hood, it does not have the hand-built badge that is typically on there with the signature of the person who did the final inspection on the engine. That is not there, but nonetheless, it has most of the features that you would come to expect from any other AMG product, and it's got some fun features that we're gonna go over today as well. So let's hit some corners, let's see what you can do. This is the smallest car in the Mercedes lineup right now. Good competition for the VW Golf R and the Audi S4 as well. I guess if you're cross-shopping price-wise, it kind of goes up against the Honda Civic Type R as well. Now, the big difference there is when you go to Honda's website, it literally says that the Honda Civic Type R is sold out, contact your local dealer. We all know how that goes, right? This, at least, you know you can get for sticker. The A35 AMG 4MATIC starts at $49,800 Canadian, and this one is basically just equipped with the premium package and bumps that up to $53,000 Canadian. And the more and more we look at this car in the night black, as Mercedes calls it, with the kind of chrome accents, polished accents on the exterior there, this is definitely a stripper, a quote-unquote stripper model for the AMG A35. And why I say that is because, as you may notice, versus other videos on the internet and photos, this is missing that big rear wing that is optional. It's also missing some optional 19-inch AMG wheels, but these 18-inch dual 5-spokes look pretty phenomenal. You got 235 section tires all the way around. And the car is a lot of fun. There's a bunch of features here to go over. Of course, AMG's highly strung out, very, very alive, shall we say, 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine, making here in this application 302 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. But again, this is a modern Mercedes, so you do have a number of options. This one has not been fitted with a few of the other AMG options, which include the AMG drive unit, which if you guys are familiar with other Mercedes products, that would include the drive selector switches down here for both your adaptive suspension on the left here, and then your drive mode select. Without that additional optional steering wheel and the drive unit switches, you do not get the microfiber suede that you do on that steering wheel. Instead, you get perforated leather here, and then for your drive modes, you're stuck to actually reaching down and taking your hand off the steering wheel to switching here. So we'll go straight into Sport Plus, which is where we get the most amount of cracks and pops. So what is not fitted here, along with the AMG drive unit, is AMG's adaptive suspension, three-way adaptive dampers that you would get with that package. It's not here, but you do get AMG's sport suspension, which I think strikes a pretty good balance in between comfort and a super stiff ride here. But of course, it is not adjusting the rebound and compression rates in real time as you're driving. It's just kind of set in one mode, which is totally fine. And you know, this is how, this is a course, you guys, on how to not drum up your AMG's final price just, you know, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more than the base price, which seems to be very easily done nowadays with many AMG products. 302 horsepower goes a long way here. It's a quick engine. It's a pretty quick car. Of course, AMG's 4MATIC all-wheel drive is front-wheel drive bias, but it is totally active in distributing that torque front to rear, and as well torque vectoring when you put the ESC into one of three modes, either fully on, you have a sport ESC mode, which we'll go into now. Just press it once. Will affect how that torque is distributed, and will send a little bit more, or have a little bit more tendency to send the torque to the rear, and it can send up to 50% of that torque to the rear. So unlike the A35 AMG that we do not get, or have not gotten yet here in North America, that has like a lot of the larger AMGs, a drift mode, so all of the power, pretty much all the power, can get sent to the rear. But here that is not the case. It is still the best you're gonna get for you rear-wheel drive AMG or car enthusiasts, I guess I should say, is that 50-50 split, which is just fine. It's really good here. It really does put up a good fight in the hot hatch space. This one also has not been fitted with the AMG Performance seats. These are just the AMG Sport seats, I believe they're called. So, I mean, when I say the stripper A35 AMG, I really do mean it. It's not a bad thing. It's really stealthy. Looks really fantastic. Step outside this thing, you guys. Look at the rear end. I was not expecting this, okay? The rear end, the car looks slammed. It looks really good. Just out of the gate, it looks like it's been lowered on coils or something. And the rear diffuser back there with the exhaust, I don't know, even with these 18s, without the optional 19s, it sits really nice. The front end looks fairly aggressive. It's still got nice AMG cues, although not quite as insane as the CLA 45 AMG, I don't think. But again, this is going up against the Golf R, which to me is just a boring looking car. It doesn't look too fantastic. And then on the other hand, you have like the Civic Type R, which is way off in the deep end, with the wing and stuff like that if you want it. But again, that's just not my style. The thing to point out though, and this is when I'll stop talking about the Type R, but this does weigh about 300 pounds more than a Civic Type R. And of course that has to do in part definitely with the amount of tech and safety and stability systems and all-wheel drive system that are here on board the A35 AMG. Definitely got a little bit of body roll, but really tough to approach the limits of grip. Here on this street, absolutely. Got the AMG burbles. Got that nice little AMG crack on the upshift, and then in Sport Plus, obviously. Oh, I didn't do it there. You would, I should be getting AMG crackles on every downshift. I think it mainly happens more at low RPMs here. Obviously on the interior here, you can see upon initial impressions, it looks pretty standard AMG by now. If you guys have been in or seen any of our videos on some of the new AMG products, you would recognize these new LED screens, these crazy wide screens they have on the interior here. Crazy amount of options as far as aesthetics go and how it looks. Right now, our gauge clusters in Classic. We have Sport, we have Super Sport. So Sport changes up the colors here. And look at this. What other car has a dual boost gauge? If one wasn't enough, you've got 2 boost gauges here and real-time readouts of how much power and torque the car is making. And it gets even better, you guys. So we go onto the second screen here, which is controlled by this touchpad here. Takes a little bit to get used to. You can also just touch the screen, so I'm glad there is the option there. But now we have 2 boost gauges, 2 readouts of the horsepower and torque on the main screen, and then we also have another readout of horsepower and torque. So 3 readouts of the horsepower and torque here. It is so funny. I don't know. Stuff like that in modern cars makes me laugh, because to me, like, a modern AMG with all this tech and stuff is just, most of it is so excessive, but that's what makes these cars just a cut above what you would normally see in the lower tier models. For me, it's all about how the car drives and the sights and the sounds, and AMG's electronic power assisted steering is really nice here. I do like the flat bottom steering wheel here in this application. Now, attached to that turbocharged 2-liter is Mercedes 7-speed dual clutch transmission here. Really good at the high performance stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. High speed, high revving, quick shifts. It's great. It's absolutely everything you want. See if we can try launch control actually here for a second. We'll go ESC fully off. Wow. Oh, she goes. No tire spin whatsoever. Honestly, that's one of the more easier launch control modes I've had the pleasure of activating. I mean, especially with only 235s all around, the grip is definitely not lacking here. So it does have Mercedes 7-speed DCT dual clutch transmission. Really good at the high speed stuff here, high revs and things like that. I have noticed though, I hate to say it, but around town it does have that kind of dual clutch clunkiness. It gets a little bit like, you'll find the car kind of swaying back and forth a little bit more than you would like in slower speed driving scenarios. Even in comfort mode, it's definitely more prominent in Sport Plus because that throttle response is just that much more twitchy. But it is definitely something you notice, absolutely. This is a performance-oriented vehicle. I know, especially here around Vancouver and in certain other cities around the States too, a lot of people just buy AMGs because they can afford the AMG. They want the badge, they want the top of the line. But in reality, like, AMG is a performance-based car. Like, this still has the underpinnings, even though this doesn't have the crazy sports seats or the drive select on the steering wheel or the insane aero or anything like that. It still has that kind of just little bit of luxury sacrifice and just a little bit more airing on the sports side. I mean, honestly, really surprised here. I would absolutely take this over a CLA 45 AMG any day, but I am biased. I like a good hatchback. I would absolutely take this over a Golf R any day as well. There are certain things about the Golf R that stand out, I guess. I haven't driven a Golf R in a while, but for the money, you get like the basic underpinnings of a higher dollar AMG product, but for a lower cost. But overall, great value here, starting at $49,000, especially if you don't get all of the options. This is a real competitor against some of the other European hatchbacks that are available right now. And I think it's cool that AMG is still keeping the small cars alive, and a small hatchback like this that actually has a decent amount of space in the back, much more than I would have initially expected. And even without the options, I'm honestly very surprised. Usually with Mercedes and BMW, you really have to dive deep into the options to get the performance and the kind of features you want. But here, the basics are absolutely enough. As long as you have that exhaust, that's all I need. That's all I need is the noise. Steering's got a nice weight to it too. That's what I've always loved about AMG products. 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, I believe. It is also faster than a Golf R, even though it only has a few more horsepower. I believe it only has like 4 more horsepower than a Golf R, but we'll leave it in auto, traction off, do another launch control here. Yep. That is AMG launch control. This thing is really quick. It's really quick. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not, it's still like a front wheel drive based all wheel drive system. But again, if you can actually bring up the real time torque distribution, yeah, you can see how much power is actually being sent to the wheels there. But once you dive deep into the corners, and especially with ESC in sport mode, it performs like a proper all-wheel drive hatch, and it's just a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit me up on Instagram at Roads Untraveled if you kind of want to see what we're shooting on a day-to-day basis. We've got a number of awesome cars coming up, ranging from, of course, the new stuff like this from all the biggest manufacturers, all the way to our favorite 90s Japanese sports cars, muscle cars, European cars, and whatever else. So hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss out on that. We'll see you guys next time.